You started performing at a level you were proud of. Deadlines hit. Quality went up. You were solving problems nobody asked you to solve. You came in with ideas, followed through on them, and came back with more. You were exactly what the job description said they wanted, and then some. And something subtle happened that you couldn't quite name. Your manager got quieter around your work. The check-ins that used to feel engaged started feeling routine. Compliments that came freely when you were still learning stopped coming now that you were consistently delivering. You got busier somehow, but on smaller things. Projects that used to have your name prominently attached stopped having it. You started wondering if you were doing something wrong. You reviewed your recent work. Nothing obvious. You pushed harder. Still nothing changed. You weren't doing something wrong. You were doing something right. And that was exactly the problem. Nobody tells you this because it sounds paranoid when you say it out loud. Managers are supposed to want you to succeed. That's what the onboarding materials say. That's what every leadership training reinforces.
Your manager's interest in your growth is real, up to a point. Past that point, your growth creates problems for them. Not abstract problems, practical ones, political ones, career-threatening ones. And when growth starts creating those problems, the person above you will slow it down. Not by telling you, not by writing it in a review. Quietly, through friction you can feel but can't document. Through opportunities that stop arriving in your direction. Through a relationship that used to feel like investment and gradually starts feeling like maintenance. To understand why, you have to understand what your manager actually wants. Not what they say they want in your quarterly check-in. What they actually want, operating inside the system they operate in. They want to look competent to the people above them. They want their team to produce results without creating complications. They want problems handled below them and credit flowing upward. They want no surprises. The first reason your manager may not want you to get too good is the most obvious one and the least discussed. If you get good enough, you become a candidate for their position. Not because you want it, not because you've said anything or positioned yourself for it, just because the people above your manager start noticing you, start asking about you, start mentioning your name in conversations your manager attends. And once that happens, your manager is no longer just your advocate, they're your competition. Managers are evaluated by their leadership on the strength of their team's output. When your output gets strong enough to be noticed separately from the team, something shifts. The conversation about you stops being about the team and starts being about you specifically. The response to this is rarely direct. A manager who feels threatened by a team member doesn't say so. They can't say so. Instead, they redirect. They start giving you work that matters operationally but doesn't create visibility. They find projects that need your ability but don't expose it to leadership. They keep you busy in ways that channel your output into things the organization needs without producing moments where senior people look at you and see potential they should be investing in directly.
The second reason is harder to identify because it arrives feeling like recognition. When you perform consistently at a high level, you set a new baseline expectation for what you're capable of. That baseline becomes the lens through which every future contribution gets evaluated. Every moment of ordinary output looks like a decline. Every miss gets measured against your best work rather than the team average. You've created a standard that follows you, and the pressure of maintaining it indefinitely is a problem not just for you, for everyone managing around you. Underneath that is something most people miss. Your sustained excellence creates comparison pressure on the people around you. When you're consistently delivering above the team's baseline, your teammates start looking slower by contrast. Your manager now has to explain that gap to the people above them. Is there a capability problem on the team? A development failure? These are uncomfortable questions, and your existence raises them without you intending to. This is why managers sometimes quietly prefer a team that performs evenly, even at a lower collective level. A team where everyone delivers at a 7 is easier to manage politically than a team where one person is at a 10
and everyone else is at a 6. Flat performance requires no explanation. Outlier performance requires defense, and defense takes energy that managers would rather redirect elsewhere. Your consistency didn't just make you valuable, it made you a measuring stick. And being a measuring stick means that every time someone else falls short, your manager has to decide whether to address it or explain it. Most of the time, they'd rather do neither.
Third, make your work visible consistently and deliberately. Not from ego, from self-preservation. Invisible work does not exist in the rooms where career decisions get made. Send the updates. Speak in the meetings. Attach your name to your contributions in ways that are professional and persistent. The only thing that protects you when a manager starts pulling back is a record that exists independently of their account of you. You were told that excellent work would take care of everything, that performance sustained over time would translate into advancement. And most of the time, that's partially true. But partially true leaves a lot unexplained. It doesn't explain the manager who went cold right when your work got strong. It doesn't explain the opportunity that went to someone performing below you. It doesn't explain the slow accumulation of small signals that told you something had changed without anyone ever confirming it. What explains it is simpler and more uncomfortable. The system your manager operates in rewards them for results and makes them vulnerable to being outpaced. Your excellence, past a certain threshold, stopped serving their interests and started threatening them. And threats in the workplace don't get addressed directly. They get managed, slowly, through friction, redirection, and a gradual narrowing of your access to the things that would make you more visible and more capable. You don't have to perform smaller. You don't have to shrink yourself to keep someone above you comfortable. But you do have to stop being surprised when getting better doesn't automatically produce getting further. And you have to start reading the relationship you're actually in, not the one you were promised. Your career is not a meritocracy being administered by someone who wants you to win. It's a system being operated by a person who is also trying to survive inside it. Sometimes those two things point in the same direction. Sometimes they don't. Knowing the difference is not cynicism. It's the thing that changes what happens next. And you now know the difference.